suggesting that he will put pressure, that he will try and get them to do more?
Ask him to put pressure because I don't need favors. I think he will. I think automatically he'd like to see it opened up. He gets about 40% of his energy or his oil from that, from the strait. We get none. We don't need it.
Donald Trump's departure from China has reportedly triggered renewed geopolitical uncertainty, with the United Arab Emirates now said to be preparing for what it views as a worsening strategic and security environment around the Strait of Hormuz. The UAE is being described by some analysts as urgently reassessing its exposure to regional risks, as it accelerates contingency planning aimed at avoiding what it sees as a potential energy and shipping bottleneck in the Hormuz corridor. In response to rising tensions, the UAE has reportedly moved to double its Fujairah pipeline capacity, as part of a broader effort to bypass maritime chokepoints and reduce dependence on the increasingly sensitive Strait of Hormuz route. Meanwhile, Washington is being portrayed as watching these developments with limited visible response, as the UAE continues to advance what some observers are calling a long-term Hormuz escape plan centered on energy infrastructure and strategic diversification. The United Arab Emirates has announced plans to accelerate a major pipeline expansion project aimed at significantly boosting oil export capacity through Fujairah by the year 2027, marking a renewed push in long-term energy infrastructure development. Abu Dhabi has also reportedly moved to double its export capacity by 2027 through the development of new alternative oil routes, reflecting what officials describe as a broader strategic shift in the country's energy planning for the coming decade. According to government statements, the Fujairah export corridor is expected to evolve into a key strategic hub by 2027, reinforcing the UAE's eastern coastline as a critical gateway for global oil shipments. Officials in Abu Dhabi have further emphasized that the Habshan Fujairah pipeline remains central to the UAE's overall oil export strategy, underlining a continued focus on strengthening energy security and transport resilience. The new pipeline expansion push has been described as a major structural shift in the UAE's energy infrastructure and export security framework, particularly as the country prepares for long-term global market uncertainties. The UAE is also actively seeking greater independence from traditional Strait of Hormuz transport routes, especially amid rising regional security risks that continue to threaten maritime stability and energy flows. Alongside Saudi Arabia, the UAE is now among the few Gulf states developing pipeline systems that bypass the Strait of Hormuz entirely, signaling a significant strategic shift in regional oil logistics and choke point dependency.
The best case scenario that no one should be allowed to control the Strait of Hormuz, period.
So you left on good terms.
We left on a good term, and as I said, we are a responsible producer, and we have investors here, and we owe it to those partners who elected to invest in the UAE to produce what the world requires.
The Iran war featured prominently during talks between US President Donald Trump and China's Xi Jinping, ensuring the Middle East crisis was at the heart of their Beijing summit. On May 14th, Trump and Xi discussed the spiraling Middle East conflict, including China's stance on the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the impact of the US naval blockade. Subsequently, Beijing issued an official statement directly addressing America's war with Iran, one of China's key regional allies, and spelling out its position. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said, and I quote, "China's position on the Iran situation is very clear. The conflict has inflicted severe losses on the people in Iran and other regional countries. With the spillover still expanding, the conflict has put a heavy strain on global economic growth, supply chains, international trade order and the stability of global energy supply, which hurts the common interests of the international community. There is no point in continuing this conflict, which should not have happened in the first place. To find an early way to resolve the situation is in the interest of not only the US and Iran, but also regional countries and the rest of the world. The recent US-Iran ceasefire and effort to explore resolving issues through negotiation is welcomed by regional countries and the international community. China always believes that dialogue and negotiation is the right way forward, and the use of force is a dead end. Now that the door of dialogue has been opened, it should not be shut again. It is important to steady the momentum in easing the situation and keep to the direction of political settlement. Engage in dialogue and consultation, and reach a settlement on the Iranian nuclear issue and other issues that accommodates the concerns of all parties. It is important to reopen the shipping lanes as soon as possible to respond to the call of the international community and jointly keep the global supply chain stable and unimpeded. It is important to reach a comprehensive and lasting ceasefire as soon as possible, enable peace and stability to return to the Middle East and Gulf region at an early date, and lay the foundation for building a sustainable security architecture for the region. China further claimed that Xi and Trump reached a series of new understandings on these issues, though Beijing stopped short of explaining exactly what those understandings were. Earlier, Trump himself said that Xi Jinping would like to see the Strait of Hormuz reopened, acknowledging China's clear interest in restoring oil and trade flows.
President Xi would like to see a deal made. He would like to see a deal made. And he did offer, he said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help. Because,
he did say that.
Yeah, he did say that. And look, anybody that buys that much oil has obviously got some kind of a relationship with him. But he said, I would love to be of help. If I could be of any help whatsoever, he'd like to see the Hormuz Strait open. He said, if I could be of any help whatsoever, I would like to help.
The issue, and you've been asked about it, and you've spoken about it, and that is China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. I mean, when you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
No.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, you know, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that. He'd like to see Hormuz Strait opened. I said, well, we didn't stop it. They did it, then we stopped them. You know, sort of interesting. He joked. He said, you know, it's sort of, if they stopped it, then you stopped them. But they'd like to see it opened. But they actually closed it. He didn't like the fact that they're charging tolls. I don't know if they are or not. I don't know who would pay them. I mean, where do they put the money? The country's decimated. You know, they're charging tolls. Where's the money going?
Trump added that she offered to be of any help in trying to achieve a wider deal with Iran, hinting at a possible Chinese role in future negotiations. However, experts warn that she's offered to be involved in Iran's peacemaking process could come at a cost, with Beijing likely expecting strategic concessions elsewhere. A lecturer on international relations said, and I quote, "China is willing to help prevent further escalation, but not at Tehran's expense." Foreign Minister Wang Yi made clear that Taiwan remains the core issue for China and the greatest risk in US-China relations. Chinese readouts of the Trump 11 meeting also placed Taiwan at the center of discussions, with the situation in the Middle East appearing much lower on the agenda. The implication is difficult to miss. If Washington wants Chinese cooperation, Beijing will expect a more accommodating US position on Taiwan. In other words, China has strong reasons to support de-escalation over Iran, but Beijing also appears to view the crisis through the lens of a much larger strategic bargain with Washington. Xi's help is also likely to remain limited. Beijing and Tehran still share a fundamental objective. Both want the Iranian regime to survive. Both want Iran to avoid emerging from the conflict as a defeated and humiliated loser. Both oppose a regional order shaped by the United States and Israel. China may therefore encourage Tehran to negotiate, support language about regional stability, or help Trump claim diplomatic progress. It may even make quiet tactical adjustments to its economic dealings with Iran. But any such move will be carefully calibrated to serve China's own interests. China may help stabilize the situation. It will not help Washington defeat Tehran.